Welcome to another episode of I Wonder, Doctor.
Let's talk about the problems that can develop with insulin.
So where I think you're about to go with this is in all those ways that diabetics become incapable of producing enough insulin.
You know, that's a common misconception. Now, it is true that 5% of all people who have diabetes do not have enough insulin or even zero insulin. But 95% of diabetics are not only producing insulin, they're producing too much insulin. How does that happen? It turns out, for various reasons, the cell membranes themselves that have insulin receptors on them get resistant to the effects of the hormone insulin.
So most diabetics can produce plenty of insulin, and in fact they're producing too much insulin.
And the reason they're producing too much is they're trying to overcome the insulin that they were producing not working.
I see.
So the solution becomes more.
Yeah.
And you know, it works a little bit, it works for a while, it sort of gets the job done, but ultimately it becomes plenty problematic all on its own.
Yeah.
Insulin resistance. That's the name of the game for diabetes. And really what we want to do is find out how in the world do we cause insulin resistance and address the causes.
And thus I would hope that there are things that they can do to reduce their insulin resistance.
And there is. And for one thing, there is a pharmaceutical medication named metformin that specifically will reduce insulin resistance, as will herbs. Berberine, for example, can reduce insulin resistance. But from that point on, you want to get at the causes. One of them is a chronic overreaction to the stresses in our life. I'm implying that we can go too far in how we react to stresses in living on Earth. And if we do so, we're going to trigger the biology of the stress response, which I've spoken about many times. And at the vanguard of that biology is adrenaline and cortisol. And cortisol in excessive amounts will produce insulin resistance.
So if I'm triggering the fight or flight response, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, exactly.
That will produce cortisol, and cortisol reduces my ability to absorb sugars.
It reduces the ability of your cell membranes to respond to insulin.
All right.
So the body has to jack the insulin up.
Got it.
Now, ultimately, we want to get down to the causes of diabetes of insulin resistance. And they include dietary indiscretions, and are we going to go into this one? Because there's a lot of valuable information in there that could inspire someone to make the dietary changes once they understand what's actually going on. It's not in this vague, nebulous, well, you just got to be you're bad for eating sugar.
Yeah,
it's
right.
far more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Yet doable. And then exercise. The proper amount of exercise will reduce insulin resistance. Or the flip side of that is a sedentary lifestyle promotes insulin resistance.
Right.
Sometimes toxicity is involved. You know, it's back to the basics.
Yeah, got it. So people can reduce insulin resistance, and thus they can improve their health and reduce their diabetes.
Absolutely. I have had many patients who approach this, take on the projects, succeed at them, reduce the insulin resistance, even leave the diagnostic world of diabetes, and have a happier, healthier, more vigorous life.
Maybe this is a little Pollyanna, but I could almost see this as diabetes being a catalyst for someone to make the changes they wanted to make anyhow. They finally do it because of this new thing that just hit them.
And what I've come to believe about illness itself is it often is the catalyst to embark upon a very successful and rewarding healing program. Healing is possible.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
You're welcome.